Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's the Speak Sis series entitled Let's Talk About Sex. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around and keep all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. Just like how our relationships with partners change over the years, so does the relationship with sex. Experts want to know, how has sex for you over the years changed? Women share that when they were younger, sex was like a Pop-Tart, quick, and kind of satisfying. Now, moving forward, the quality and quantity of sex has changed, more like crock-pot loving. There are also contributing factors, such as medication, stress, and time restrictions. Some wish their sex drive was the same as it was as in their 20s. On the panel, Garcelle Bouvet, Bevy Smith, licensed therapist Shamara Howard, and host Adrienne Bankert and Jakota Eddy fill us in. Garcelle mentions that she had a very important conversation with her gynecologist. Her gynecologist wanted her to consider, you get in the mindset while going to work, you get in the mindset of taking care of children, so get in the mindset when it comes to having sex. Get in your desired mindset. Bevy agrees. Now that she's older, her potential sex partners, the amount has decreased. She feels she's more knowledgeable of who's worthy of her time. Garcelle has even helped her to be more comfortable with self-pleasure. She even gifted her a few sex toys. One host wants to start the audience conversation. If they believe the myth that over 50, sex is done for, or if anyone over the age of 50 is enjoying sex. An audience member, Terry, is 64 and enjoys every aspect of intimacy. The panel agrees that intimacy is connection and important. Once intimacy leaves, other connections are more difficult to maintain, especially sex. Jasmine is very honest that sex is just something to enjoy, and she doesn't need a relationship to do it. She's comfortable with having sex every once in a while others love it all the time. Brittany mentions that her entire life she's dated women and started to question, why couldn't she try men as well? Why are there rules in only staying dedicated to receiving only one way of pleasure? The next question, who doesn't believe in monogamy? Raina believes that she's fluid, and in her second marriage, threesomes are welcomed. She can go outside and do things, but her husband chooses not to. He supports her bisexuality. It not only makes their relationship stronger, but there's no pressure to be perfect. Bevy applauds her transparency, and more women should be open to trying new things. Another question, is there anyone in the audience who thinks that her ideas are a hell no? Jacqueline says that I'm selfish. I don't want to share my man. No, I wouldn't be open to something like that. Raina does admit that there has been situations of heartbreak and someone catching feelings. She's not leaving her man though, so when that happens, she has to cut ties with that new intimacy person. Shamira Howard, licensed social worker and sexologist, explains that that arrangement is called consensual non-monogamy or ethical non-monogamy. The basis of that relationship is consent. When you meet other people, they have to fall in line with that agreement. No matter what sexual arrangement, everything starts with consent and boundaries. The majority of people think that, how can you love all of those people involved? That's often when people step out. They often mention in counseling sessions, how could you? I thought it was all about me. She uses an example. Some people have children, and there's different connections with each child. We have the capacity and don't love or care for people in the same way. Ashley can't believe that people are oohing and eyeing over Raina's relationship arrangement, but men do it all the time, and no one has those conversations. Overall, the stigmas of sex need to be removed. Conversations need to be open so everything is more pleasurable. Women have desires just like men do. Shamira agrees. Releasing the stigmas and shame is important, but how do you do that? You start with yourself. Pleasure is your birthright. What were the messages that you were told about sex? How do you own your sexuality? No one has the same sexuality. Whatever it is, own it. Garcelle believes that pleasuring yourself is okay as well, and people need to be more open to having those conversations as well and feel comfortable about it. It's time for the next question. How has your faith impacted your sexual health? Sean always heard, don't have sex until you're married. She's been married 3 times and only had sex during those marriages. Now she's divorced and having fun exploring with more sex. Carla has more difficulty sharing her story. She's 50 years old and hasn't had sex since she was 38. A lot of the reasoning is because of her faith. She's a pastor's daughter, a single mom, and always felt guilty after having sex. She then begins to cry because she still feels sexy and vibrant. She would prefer to wait until marriage, but hasn't had any luck finding someone with the same goals. She's not getting any younger and feels she'll never meet that special someone. Bevy is concerned that she has a connection of guilt with sex. That stigma has a negative effect on her life. She encourages counseling to find some source of where that guilt is coming from. Shamira feels that clitoral pleasure is a gift from God. Enjoy the creation. Sex therapy would help her with all of her suppressed feelings. Roxanne is a Christian as well. She's not sexually active and feels that God supplies whatever she needs. She knows who she is as a woman, and that's enough. The panel agrees that whatever makes you feel empowered and owning who you are is what's most important. Jacqueline has been married for 31 years. She feels that your sex life is an evolution. In their 20s, it was go, go, go all of the time. Then the babies came from them doing that all the time. Now they have 2 adult daughters at that point. And in that moment in life, they're focused on grinding and getting their young adult daughters through college and developing their lives, making sure that they were okay. Then in their 40s, things became more back to normal, more stabilized. Now in their 50s, they can still rock it out, don't get it twisted, but the intimacy has now changed to more cuddle time and having fun binge watching sessions and weekends. But they make sure that they allow their time. And like Garcelle mentioned earlier, you set your mindset to have sex because you've lived a full life and you have more obligations and more responsibilities. Sex is an evolution, and that's okay. Now the panelists want to know, what final thoughts do you have? Garcelle and Bevy have their own opinions. Garcelle says the conversations are great and to keep them coming. Supporting one another is important. Her and Bevy have a podcast show, and each day they learn more and more. Bevy says that time allows more wisdom, and continuing more conversations, as Garcelle mentioned, helps everyone become more open-minded to agree or disagree. Everything helps you understand that you're not going through things alone. Knowing that you have support is amazing, and that will keep the community healing together. And now it's time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. I'm a very open-minded person. Listening to everyone in the audience and their different experiences and different beliefs doesn't shift or change how I feel as my foundation to sexual health, to understanding one's sexuality, etc. With listening to everyone, it just helped me to understand what a lot of more people are going through and maybe how they view different things. Personally, I agree with the last audience member's statement, Jacqueline, where she explained that sex and our lives are a part of this evolution, which is true. We have different experiences, different things that may change or have us view things in a different light than when we did younger. With time, as Bevy mentioned, it gives us more wisdom. So with that wisdom, it helps everyone develop, grow, learn, change, and as a community, as she mentioned, grow and heal together, which is beautiful. The stigmas start to happen and occur when we are more closed-minded and to ourselves and not having these conversations, or with generations as well. There's different perspectives on things and different ways. We learn that a lot with mental health. For example, some people in some generations said, hey, what goes on in this house stays in this house. You don't talk about it to anybody else. And as those generations started to evolve behind them, they started to notice that, no, we do need to talk about this and we do need to talk about that. And there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of pain behind those things. Same thing when it comes to sex and intimacy. We learned that a lot of generations before us didn't really hug or say that I love you to their loved ones. You hear a lot of people say, well, my mother or my father never really hugged me, or they never really told me that they loved me. That's a form of intimacy. And a lot of those experiences can transfer how we see our sexuality and how we express being intimate. So those are a lot of the key points in this episode, that if there's a stigma connected with something that is changing your desires, or it has a negative effect on how you want to be open-minded and learn more. As the example in the episode, she felt guilty and she felt ashamed, and she's a single mom and she has a daughter and she's a pastor's child. So there's probably a lot of connections in her really understanding her body, understanding what gives her pleasure, etc., and talking to professionals and helping her not necessarily go against her beliefs and her morals, but understanding why she feels and thinks the way that she does. And her coming to tears, when you see the tears come, that's sadness. That's something that's hindering her. So you don't want to talk about something that you desire and then having a connection that's negative bring you to tears. That's not good. She says, I feel sexy, I feel vibrant, but when I think about XYZ, she breaks into tears. And that pain needs to be brought up. That pain needs to be addressed and talked about. Now, whatever your sexual orientation is, whatever you believe, whatever arrangement that you have, I agree that professional attention, conversations, openness to understanding is really important. And I enjoyed this episode. When it comes to social media, when it comes to things that we see on television, you also have to question, why are there more and more relationships that are non-monogamous? I really want to bring that to your attention and just really help me understand the dissecting of what is realistic and unrealistic things that you bring into your life. Now, if that's your decision to have certain arrangements, it's really important that people understand that it has to be consensual. It has to be something that you want. Because if you're going into a situation to where it's, in your heart and in your gut that you don't agree with, it makes you uncomfortable, it's something with your spirituality that doesn't fit you right, just doing it because it's what people are doing now, or what's popular, or what you saw on TV is not a reason, I feel, to engage yourself in something that you don't agree with. Whatever it is. If you don't believe in monogamy, but you're forcing yourself to be with one person, you shouldn't be forced to do that. If you want to be with multiple people and, just vice versa. I do believe that something that is forced, that you don't agree with, no matter what it is, it can't be right. It's something that can't be healthy, and then blending in with your mental health that has that correlation. That can't be something that you have to go through in your life. Life is short. You should be able to enjoy your life. Everybody has their own beliefs. When we start to push on people, Christian, Muslim, whatever your faith is, when you're pushing it on someone and making someone else feel ashamed, it's kind of like, that doesn't seem right either. So listening and understanding is one thing to each other. And as Bevy mentioned, when you start to do that, you feel less alone. We don't want people to feel alone in their journey and understanding who they are and owning it. And you might not be able to do that individually. So when you listen to these conversations, I know a lot of people were probably really uncomfortable just listening to this recap of the episode, and just speaking about it makes you feel uncomfortable and like, oh my goodness, are we really talking about sex? And oh my goodness, like, if you feel uncomfortable, you have to question, why do I feel so uncomfortable? As the professional mentioned, what are some things that you experienced in your life, or maybe that you learned about intimacies, having sex, that may make you feel uncomfortable? You shouldn't feel uncomfortable when you own who you are and when you own what you decide and those deciding factors in your life. Also, health. We talk about sexual preferences and things that we prefer, but you can't minus out the health part. There are still diseases, there are still viruses that exist in this world. And no matter what you do, understanding the health and the precautions to keep yourself and your loved ones, your partners, however you want to call it, is something that we can't ignore. When we do that, we develop more stigmas that make situations worse. So if there's an understanding, if things are consensual, if you're talking about it, then you would think that things would just flow. But let's just be honest from a psychological aspect, that people are human. And as the young lady mentioned earlier in the episode, she was in some situations where people caught feelings, and she kind of had to cut off that situation when she had the permission to bring somebody else in. You always have those kind of question marks too. You're bringing somebody in and you have this freedom, but you don't know how they're going to react. That's when I feel like we're starting to get into the danger zone of we're adding this extra emotion from these extra people. And are people going to take it well? I watch too many murder mystery shows. And it always starts with, oh, we had this understanding, and then the other person doesn't take it too well. And then it also, that may be, also something in my mind where I'm just like, that's not my cup of tea. You're bringing in all this extra emotion and somebody might not take it right, or somebody may catch feelings and may not understand. That's what I think about. I think about like somebody being crazy. But hey, it's not a stigma, but it's just something that, I don't prefer. If it's your preference, cool. But the conversations, the honesty, the being transparent, the boundaries, the agreements, as long as, there's understanding with that, I think that, no matter what you decide, that your safety, your health, the stigmas, everything that needs to be discussed should be discussed. When you have stigmas that hinder knowledge of your body, not knowing how to protect yourself, right? You hear the saying, if you're a woman, from parents, or, if you grow up in the South, oh, don't get pregnant. Oh, get married first, and all of these things. And then if you don't do that and things happen, there's this negative, like the lady said, shame. And, makes me think of Game of Thrones. Shame, the shame and the fear of how people will react to you not doing what they believe for you to do, or because of their faith or whatever. But when that happens, it's this domino effect of generations that are hurt from it, because it's those things that were kept and swept under the rug and never discussed before. We've seen it on therapy shows. We've seen it on so many different platforms, no matter what it is, no matter what the topic is. When anything is not discussed and swept under the rug, and then you start to develop those secrets and stigmas and shame and confusion, it never goes well. So let me know what you think. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to be friendly in the comments. It's okay to agree, to disagree. But I just really want to know how you guys feel about this. And if you will have conversations with people that friends, the person that you're with, or persons, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I would love to see your opinions down in the comment. Make sure to check out those shows in the description and the pinned comment below if you need to binge watch. I'll add a video at the end of this one letting you know what's scheduled for 2022 when it comes to show recaps and reviews and so much more. So make sure that you check it out. If you're new to the channel, Thank you for spending time with your girl Bunny. In the meantime, in between time, remember to take care of yourself and each other. Bye.